What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So I am a little late in making this video because I was in a no connection area for the last couple of days. But cannot miss this one because this is gonna be one of the most exciting shows of the year, so here we go. The Chicago Pro official competitors list is out and I have to say that is a great lineup. We have a lot of former Olympians in there, 4 to be precise. Hassan Mustafa, Phil Klahar, Vilat and Chulli. And that's just not it. The list gets more and more interesting. Because we have Tim Budisham, who just placed second at this past Grand Pro which happened last weekend. So he is really fired up to deliver another solid performance at this year's Chicago Pro, especially after placing a very close second at this year's Van Pro. Then we have Robin Strand, who finished third in Vancouver Pro. He's also in. Xiaoming Yan, the freakiest man from China who was top 5 in Italy last year. He's doing Chicago Pro as his first show of the year. Nathan Appler, who is a former 212 guy, and he has placed as high as top 5 in the 212 back in 2021. So Chicago Pro isn't gonna be his pro debut because he competed at Texas in 2022. But this is gonna be his first time where he actually took a whole year off to solely focus on getting bigger, grow as an open bodybuilder. And I have to say that man is looking really great. So looking at this lineup and then comparing it to Van Pro, that really shows us that Van Pro was one of the weakest lineup in 2024. And that isn't a disrespect to any of the athletes, especially the one who placed top 3 there. It's just plain and simple fact. Because not only just we have 4 former Olympians here in Chicago Pro versus no Olympians at Van, but we also have so many big names for this show. And I'm not gonna lie, there will be a lot of eyes on Muhammad Fadha. I mean, the man has successfully created a lot of hype around him, especially in this prep. And I have to say it isn't just hype. He actually looks phenomenal in all of his recent updates. The guy has everything. The size, the flow, the symmetry, the aesthetics. Now he wasn't in a great condition at his last show, which was Romania. But still he was able to place top 5 while he was being coached by Hani Rembrandt. And that is why people question him. That can he get in that top shape? Can he bring that next level of conditioning? So based on all of his recent updates, it seems like that he can. Because he looks so ready right now. In fact, he has been looking ready for weeks and weeks now. And this is what Fadha has to say about some people who have some doubts that he might not be able to bring that next level of conditioning that is needed to win a big show, that is needed to win his first pro show. So Fadha has been working with Stefan, who has paid all his athletes to perfection in 2024 so far. So Fadha is going to be the favorite to win this show in my opinion. So it is the return of Hassan Mustafa as well. And keep in mind, he had another 6 weeks of dieting, staying in contest prep from Toronto to Chicago Pro. And it's almost a guarantee that Hassan is going to be in a way better condition here in Chicago Pro compared to what we saw at Toronto, which was arguably one of his worst looks ever. So he is the biggest and the most muscular guy in this lineup. And he actually is the guy with the most pro wins in this lineup as well. And Hassan, if he brings that same conditioning that we saw from him at last year Toronto, or that we saw from him at the Olympia last year, he is gonna be so dangerous. I mean, the guy is always gonna be extremely dangerous if he can nail his peak. So Phil Klahar was the winner of Orlando Pro last year. And guess who did he beat at that show to get to the Olympia stage? It was Hassan Mustafa. So Phil is a guy who carries plenty of muscle. He is the oldest guy in this lineup. But if some of these guys are off, he can cause an upset here. So how would Stanimal do in this kind of lineup? He might be one of the most shredded guy. Actually, he was one of the most shredded guy in Van Pro as well. But unless him and his coach do something truly magical to gain the fullness in just a few days, I'm guessing it will be another difficult show for him. So Patrick Tour, his coach, made a post about Stan after Van Pro saying that he was 10 pounds heavier than last year. But that did not work out for them. So I'm guessing he's gonna bring him in much more fuller while maintaining the same kind of conditioning that he's known for. Because the thing is, this is open bodybuilding we are talking about. He's battling it out with some real mass monsters. And even though we know that size isn't just everything in open bodybuilding, but it is one of the major criteria. So overall, this has to be one of the best lineups for the Olympia 2024 qualifiers. Next up, we have an 8 weeks out physique update from Hunter Labrada. And what can I say? Absolutely mind-blowing. So he wasn't really exaggerating when he said that he's gonna bring something totally different and something very special to the stage this year. His quads are looking so insane right now. So how wide Hunter opens up for his front double biceps, plus the front lat spread, that is truly special, that is just nuts. And when he turns around and hits that back double biceps, there is no denying the fact that he has taken those poses to a whole different level, especially after this offseason. And this is a pose which was one of his biggest weaknesses just a couple of years ago. So I am 100% certain that it's going to be untouchable in Italy, which is scheduled like a month before this year's Mr. Olympia. But the thing is, we already know that. So Andrew and Hunter, these are two guys who should not have any problems qualifying for this year's Mr. Olympia. After all, they are number 5 and number 6 in the world. But for the very first time since 2021, where Hunter placed his career best 4th at the Olympia stage, this year he is giving this impression again that is about to shock a lot of people. Next up, we have 12.5 weeks out physique update of Wesley Weezers. So Wesley winning this year's Arnold Classic Ohio as well as UK, and entering this year's Classic Physique Mr. Olympia as a top contender, as the guy is going to be fighting for the title with Chris Bumstead and Ramondino. That has to be one of the biggest storylines of this year's Mr. Olympia. So Wesley has looked so great throughout this offseason. He was like 280 pounds at the end of his push phase. So Wesley is a bit taller than the champ, Chris Bumstead. And that is exactly why we all want to see this comparison on the stage. So Wesley absolutely dominated the show in UK. It was really close between him and Ramondino at Ohio. And both these incredible athletes, they have been training extremely hard ever since this year's Arnold. So if Chris Bumstead is at his all-time best, he is most probably gonna win the Olympia again hands down. But the question is, who is gonna solidify himself as the next in line to carry the torch? Lastly, we have a 12-week South physique update of none other than the Persian Wolf, Hadi. And damn, he looks supersized and he looks so great in such an awesome condition for this far out of the Olympia. So I guess if some of the top Olympia contenders are hoping that Hadi doesn't nail his peak, he doesn't bring his trademark conditioning, especially the way he came in at this year's Arnold Ohio, he was 100% for that show. So if some guys are hoping that he comes in off, because that is their chance of beating him, that just goes to show us that Hadi is the real deal. The size that Hadi is carrying since 2022, the year he won his first ever Mr. Olympia, there isn't a one shot where some of these guys who are so much bigger than him, they can actually make him look small, or even make him look like a former 212 guy. So Hadi has got the density, he has got the muscle maturity, and most importantly, he appears so big and so huge on the stage. So the man was standing right next to Samson Dauda, who weighs in the 290s on the stage, and still he dominated that show like anything. So it took Hadi 5 years to beat the best look of his career. I am talking about around 2019, because all this time, people kept mentioning that the look that Hadi brought at that show, that was his best ever, especially in terms of conditioning. But at this year's Arnold Ohio, not only was he a lot bigger, but he was arguably in that same condition as he was at around 2019. So the question is, can he beat his Ohio look at this year's Mr. Olympia? Because if he does, it is game on. So hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video, and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.